What is going on, everybody? Hey, this is your boy JC from JC Sports Talk, and I have with me a very special guest. I'm not going to ruin his introduction, but just look, after this show, he might get a few million more followers. But without further ado, how are you doing, Aaron? What is going on? How was your day?
Hey, man. I've had a busy day we're recording this on Tuesday late afternoon, and today's cut down day.
Yes.
So I've had a busy day of tracking cuts and trades, and I'm glad it's not on Saturday anymore, so I can have a life this weekend.
Exactly. And I really appreciate you taking the time. Now, I know, like you said, it's been a busy day. You are covering multiple teams. I'm only worried about my Philadelphia Eagles. But without further ado, let's get right into it. Today, the Eagles traded for Chauncey Gardner-Johnson from the Saints for basically oodles and noodles. What was your opinion when this trade went down, and how shocked were you that this actually happened?
I mean, I'm a little surprised. It sort of shows you that the cap exists, right? New Orleans, they push cap money to the future, and they push cap money to the future, and they push cap money to the future. And at a certain point, you end up with good young players you just can't re-sign. And that's what happened with Gardner-Johnson. So I think it's a really good addition for the Eagles. I think he's going to be better than Anthony Harris at that position. He's sort of a safety / slot corner hybrid guy, but they've done that in the past with Malcolm Jenkins. He'll probably be more of a safety for the Eagles than he was going to be for the Saints, because they've got Avonte Maddox to cover the slot. But I think this is a good addition and just another improved defensive player that they've added to their defense from last year.
Exactly. I mean, like as far as the Saints go, I'm surprised that they actually gave him up for like a fifth and a sixth, a fifth next year.
I mean, I think it's because he has one. I think he's got 1 year on his contract. So I think what you were doing is you were getting 1 year of Gardner-Johnson, and that's why nobody paid more than what the Eagles. I mean, all the Eagles paid was a fifth and a sixth.
Yeah,
and it's surprising in a little bit. It's a little bit surprising nobody would go over that, like a team like Arizona that needed cornerback help, but. It's clear when you pick up a guy for a low price like that, it's clear nobody else was going to even pay that price, right? Because it's not like the Saints are doing the Eagles any favors. They're giving this guy to whoever's going to bid the most, and the most was a fifth and a sixth.
Yeah, and the bad thing, well, I don't know if this a bet or not, because the Saints are actually supposed to give the Philadelphia Eagles their first round pick. So I mean, in a way, I don't know how big of a playmaker he was on the Saints, but this is a big piece for the Eagles that kind of crippled the Saints a little bit, especially.
We like the Saints defense. I like the Saints as an underrated team this year. I think the Saints are going to have a good season. So I don't think that's going to end up being the best. I don't think that's going to end up being the best pick for the Eagles, but yeah, this definitely hurts them. Like PJ Williams is good, but now they have no depth behind PJ Williams. So if one of their top three corners gets hurt, they're going to have problems.
And they also lost Marcus Williams, right? This offseason.
Yes.
And then Jenkins retired. So their whole defense is
right, but they picked up Marcus May and Tyrann Mathieu to replace those guys.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, all right. So at the end of the season, where do you see the Philadelphia Eagles using the Saints first round pick? A top first round, or
I think it's later more like 21-22. I think the Saints are going to make the playoffs.
Okay. Wow, that's okay. I like it. Let's go. Which NFC East team has done the most this offseason, in your opinion?
I'm on this I'm on this video stream, so I think we know the answer to that. It's obviously the Eagles. Listen, the Giants did look. Okay, Washington went out and got a quarterback we don't think is that good, but they did go out and get a new quarterback, so that's good.
Yeah.
Dallas got rid of guys. That's bad. The Giants went out and got a new front office and a new head coach, and we really like those moves, right? We don't like the Giants roster, but we like their front office and we like their head coach. So that's positive for the long term, but not for the short term. The team that did the most to help themselves this year in 2022 is obviously Philadelphia, because if you look at the defense and the number of players that were added to it.
Yeah.
Hassan Reddick, James Bradbury, Kazir White, Kazir White's not great, but he's better than what they had at linebacker before. And now Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, plus Jordan Davis and Nakobe Dean. And listen, there's been research done that suggests that there really is no such thing as a draft steal. That players who fall below where conventional wisdom had them in the draft don't tend to be any better than the players who are taken at the place where conventional wisdom had them. That being said, Nakobe Dean looks like as close to a draft steal as possible because people were talking about, oh, maybe he won't play this year. Maybe he won't be able to ready to start the season. He's ready to start the season. What were people talking about? Like, what was all that? Like, nonsense. So that's a ton of added defense. And then on offense, A.J. Brown. So, which I don't mean to wipe that away. Like, oh my God, A.J. Brown is now. Like, obviously, A.J. Brown is a great player. He's their number one receiver now. But that's one guy compared to all the defensive stuff that they have.
Yeah, I mean, I was shocked when all those moves I never saw coming. You like the only move that the Philadelphia Eagles did after the big splash, Hassan Reddick, was Zach Pascal. Like, I mean, everybody was like, "Oh my God, why is him?" Like, we need wide receivers, but this dude is an underrated, wide receiver. He was with the Colts, and the Colts, as we know, was banged up a lot at a wide receiver, and he stepped up for Carson Wentz and so on. So I really think that was a good signing. But yes, I agree with you. The Philadelphia Eagles did the most this offseason, but we know it all got comes together on the field, and that's what people are really skeptical about. Like, can this team, offense and defense, especially when you add all these players, even though only added one on offense and several on defense, but can all these players, can the coaching staff bring them together in time to actually, play as a whole unit? That's the biggest
no guarantees,
question.
right? There's no guarantees, but normally when a team adds this much talent on defense, they improve significantly, and that's why we think the Eagles' defense is going to improve significantly. And I think, well, here's the thing about A.J. Brown, right, is that Hurts has this problem throwing in the middle of the field. So the question is, and we'll find out over the next few weeks, does A.J. Brown solve that problem, or does A.J. Brown become a victim of that problem where he can't do his thing because Hurts can't get him the ball as well, or does he make Hurts better throwing in the middle of the field? And I'm going to bet that the answer is he makes Hurts better.
Okay, I like it. So what weakness do you see on the Philadelphia Eagles? Yes, we just mentioned all these pieces. If any, what weakness do you see on the Philadelphia Eagles? They should still address this situation before going into the season and 12 days.
I mean, I don't know in the starting lineup where there is a particular weakness right now. I think the weakness is depth, but it's depth for a lot of teams, right? They may have the best offensive line in the league or close to it. I mean, I guess you can probably do better as your slot receiver than Quez Watkins, but, Watkins is an interesting player. Otherwise, you can do better as your slot corner than Avonte Maddox, but it's not like Maddox is a bad player.
Mm-hmm.
This team is good, and they've got actually a good amount of depth, but there are certain places like cornerback where you would like to see more depth. If there's injuries at cornerback position, that could be a problem. And you don't Miles Sanders is dealing with injuries. You want him to get healthy, but even when it comes to like backups, right? Like they've got Dillard. If there are injuries at tackle, they have Cam Jurgens. If there's injuries on the interior line, they've got Jordan Davis isn't even going to start. Like, this team is good and it's got depth.
Yeah, and I
guess the biggest weakness is Jalen Hurts is not a top 5 quarterback, right? So that's the biggest weakness. The biggest weakness is when you see a team that's going to challenge for Super Bowls, you want to see a top 5 quarterback. Okay. And Jalen Hurts last year was an average passer. He was a great runner, but he was an average passer. And if he doesn't improve, if he's average again, then despite all the talent around him, they're not going to be competing for Super Bowl. He needs to improve a little bit. That being said, if Jimmy Garoppolo can lead a team to a Super Bowl, Jalen Hurts can lead a team to a Super Bowl with all the talent around him that Philadelphia has put around him this year.
Yeah, and I agree. And you went right into my next question. What or who, in your opinion, can derail the Eagles season? You know, after all these pieces been added on, Howie Roseman been an A++ GM. He kind of addressed a lot of weakness on the Philadelphia Eagles defense, and he gave Jalen Hurts that number one running back, that number one wide receiver. Besides Miles Sanders now being able to stay healthy, you got your Gainwell and Boston Scott, which a lot of Eagles wanted them to go trade for a running back. But like, what or who can derail this Eagles season?
I'd say three things. First of all, as always in the NFL, injuries, right? The number one thing that derails your season is injuries. Number two, if Hurts takes a step backwards rather than forwards, that's a real problem. And third, if Brandon Graham can't come back from his injury, or like it turns out he realizes that he's in his mid-30s, because then they will not have enough pass rush to really be a great defense. If Graham is not being Brandon Graham, then they need more pass rush.
Wow. So the Barnett coming back, you know, on a 1-2 year deal.
Yeah, but I mean, if the thing is, if Graham's not as good as we want him to be, then it's Sweat. There's just Sweat and Barnett and I guess Taron Jackson, and then there's not much after that. So like they like to rotate guys. Like they don't play guys 80% of the defensive snaps along the defensive line anywhere. So I think that if the pass rush, if Graham doesn't come all the way back from the injury, that's the other thing that I think would be a problem.
So do you see Hassan Reddick being more of a drop back linebacker than what
I
he was used?
A lot. They'll pass rush him. Okay. They'll pass rush a lot, but not. It's a weird thing. He plays a weird position where he does. He's a linebacker in a 4-3, but he does rush the passer. So like he'll bring it, and Sweat will bring it. But like I think they need Graham to be Graham again to really be really good defense. Like to really be a really good defense.
Yeah, I agree, because our heart and soul went out week 2 at home versus the 49ers when Graham went down. Even Fletcher Cox was like, I'm not used to playing without this guy. You know what I mean? He was that dude. He was the engine on our defensive line. So when he went down, the Eagles definitely took a step back as far as rushing the passer, like you said. So, all right. So who are your top 3 teams in the NFC, and who you see coming out of the NFC?
So the DVOA stat projections that we do at Football Outsiders, our number 1 NFC team is Tampa Bay. Our number 2 NFC team is the Los Angeles Rams. And our number 3 NFC team is the Philadelphia Eagles. Wow. We have the Eagles with a higher projection, not only than Dallas, but a higher projection than Green Bay or Minnesota, or, you know, the New Orleans team that I think is underrated. We just have the Eagles as a top 10 offense and top 10 defense for this year. We think they're going to be that good. That's how much talent they added.
Man, so the Eagles improved that much in this offseason, from 9-8 from last year to possibly represent the NFC and the Super Bowl.
That's my Super Bowl pick, because the Eagles have a much easier schedule than Tampa Bay or the Rams. I think they have the inside track to the number 1 seed and home field advantage because of their schedule. They have the easiest projected schedule in the league by our numbers. So I'm actually making the Eagles my Super Bowl pick, not my pick to win the Super Bowl. I'm still going with everybody else. Buffalo Bills are the best team in the league this year. Buffalo Bills are my pick to win it all. But I have Philadelphia as my pick to come out of the NFC and play Buffalo in the Super Bowl. Doesn't mean it's going to happen.
Yeah.
But I think they've got a better chance than most people think. I think they're a really good bet right now, given what the odds are in Vegas. I think that there's a much better chance of the Eagles doing this than anybody really believes.
Wow. Bills, Eagles, Super Bowl. I would die to go see that, especially is in Arizona, I think this year. Arizona. Yeah. So look, hey, this will be an interesting pick. Me personally, as a Philadelphia Eagle fan / content creator, I do have them winning the division, but as far as Super Bowl,
I'm more optimistic than you are.
You are, because to me, I've been a fan for so long. I've seen these stacked teams. Remember the 2011 Super Team, right? With Philadelphia Eagles, the nightmare team. I call it the nightmare team. Which went the opposite way instead of the dream team.
It's very different. It's interesting to compare them to like the Rams, right? Because what the Rams have is a handful of just unbelievably superlative players who are better than anybody on the Eagles, and then a lot of weaknesses and not a lot of depth, right? Like Aaron Donald might be the best defensive player in NFL history, and Cooper Kupp is amazing, and Jalen Ramsey is amazing, and Matthew Stafford is
underrated,
better than Hurts at this point, certainly. But then they have like questions on their offensive line, and I don't know whether Van Jefferson is going to be good enough, and who knows what's going on with Allen Robinson after how bad he was in Chicago last year, and how good are the cornerbacks that are playing opposite Jalen Ramsey. It's a very differently built team than the Eagles, who are built to be strong everywhere with good depth, but don't have anyone that comes close to Donald or Ramsey, and they don't have a quarterback as good as Stafford. And then
they got Wagner too.
Tampa's the number one offense, right? I mean, Tom Brady, the dude is Tom Brady. And they've got a good running game, and they should still have a strong offensive line, although losing Jensen is a problem.
A few people.
Losing Jensen is a problem. And, they've got great receivers, and Godwin should be ready to start the season, and Mike Evans, and Russell Gage is a nice improvement. And who knows what Julio Jones has left, but all he has to be is fourth wide receiver. So, Tampa Bay is going to be really strong too. But if the Eagles can get that number one seed with the easy schedule, that gives them a little bit of a leg up.
Back 2017 Magic again, it being underdogs, the number one seed, because I feel like if the Eagles did not have the number one seeds back then in 2017, that they would have won a Super Bowl. Like, I really think the stars were aligned that year. The number one seed, the whole underdog story, it was just a perfect alignment. So underdog home field finish is big.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see the Eagles win the number one seed and then end up as underdogs in the playoffs.
Again?
A little bit better, like similar to 2017, only hopefully without a backup quarterback, hopefully with the starting quarterback.
Yes, I agree. So my bonus question for you: who win the NFL MVP? What quarterback? Because I think it's going to be a quarterback, but what quarterback do you have winning the NFL
until
MVP?
Patrick Mahomes retires? Patrick Mahomes is the best player in the league. I would pick Patrick Mahomes to win the MVP every year. Not
Josh Allen? Your Bills a Super Bowl pick?
I think the Bills are a more well-rounded team.
Okay.
The Bills have better receivers. The Bills have a better defense. The Bills they'll both be good on special teams, both Buffalo and Kansas City. But I think as far as who's the best player in the league, I'm going to say Patrick Mahomes every year until Patrick Mahomes proves that he's not.
Hey, I cannot agree with your expertise. So please we're about to wrap it up. Let them know where they could find you at and what you're working on. And, anything else you want to tell us.
So the site is footballoutsiders.com, and you can still get our gigantic 550-page season preview, the Football Outsiders Almanac 2022. It's got chapters on all 32 teams with advanced stats, fantasy football projections, write-ups on all skill players to help you in your fantasy league. You can buy that in printed version at Amazon, or you can go and become an FO Plus subscriber. Go to footballoutsiders.com/subscribe for information about what you get with our premium service, FO Plus, but it does include fantasy football draft tool and in-season projections and picks against the spread and the electronic version of the Football Outsiders Almanac. And of course, people should be reading Football Outsiders all the time with new content every day during the season, all kinds of good statistical and film study content, plus college football stuff, footballoutsiders.com.
Nice. I'm definitely going to check that out. I'm in 3 leagues and all the draft is up. Matter of fact, Oh shoot, I got a draft at 7 p.m. So I'm definitely gonna look into that to see like who's your top 5 running back, because I know it's scary out here. I know C-Mac, Christian McCaffrey. A lot of people, it's like, oh.
Yeah,
What?
that's the whole thing this year, especially if you're a PPR, right? Christian McCaffrey is the #1 running back in PPR, but do you feel like jumping off that diving board?
All right, so who's your #1 pick running back?
It depends. PPR leagues, I might go McCaffrey. Regular leagues, Jonathan Taylor.
Jonathan Taylor. No Derrick Henry.
No, we think Derrick Henry's in decline.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Aaron. Thank you very much. This was a great show. Look, I would definitely be showing this, retweeting you, putting you out there, because you give some great knowledge, especially to the Philadelphia Eagle fans. We show brotherly love out there like nobody else.
I wish you good luck. Make me look good, please.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
For the Eagles to make me look good this year.
Yes, sir. As always, go Birds.